So good morning. I want to welcome you guys again. Today we're going to be talking about Facebook ads and algorithms. So because of that, I really hope that most of you guys at least have a business page that you are familiar with in some form or fashion. If not, that's okay. We'll make it work. So there's a big difference in a personal Facebook page and a business page. And so, we're going to talk about those two different things a little bit. But the primary focus today is just your business Facebook pages and ad accounts. And so before we dive in too deep, there's a couple of vocab words that we really need to look over because not everybody has a marketing background. Not everybody understands, these terms straight off. And so we're going to talk about those just a little bit before we get any further. And the reason is because if you don't understand these terms, it's going to be really difficult to understand the data in just a little bit from the ads if you don't totally understand those. And so an impression is the number of times an ad or a boosted post is displayed to a user. And so what that means is each time a user sees that ad counts as an impression. And so I may see an ad run 15 times, and so that's 15 impressions. So our reach is a data metric that determines the maximum potential audience any given message will reach. And so basically, if you send out an ad, each individual person that sees that ad is the reach. This is different from an impression because a person can see the message several times and count as multiple impressions. And each person individually, so myself, Michael, Laura, Miss Whitten, everybody would count differently, so reach is one specific person, impression is multiple times they see it. So just kind of keep that in your head as we continue this presentation, because we're going to talk about that a little bit later, and we want to keep that fresh. So moving on to click-through rate, that is a common metric for reporting on the number of people who viewed a piece of content, then took an action on it. And so what actions mean are your engagement rates. So that's clicking on an ad, looking through it, liking, sharing, reposting, all of those things. And so why that's important is if your engagement and your click-through rate is not great, then you're not going to have a whole lot of engagement and people are not going to see your post nearly as often. Cost per thousand is the total cost of your ads for every 1,000 impressions. And so the goal of your ads is to get eyeballs on your content. And so that's pretty much what you try to accomplish, on anything that you post, whether it's organic or paid for. You're trying to get people to your website, to click on your post, to just engage and see what you're trying to sell. So what that cost per thousand is what it costs per 1,000 eyeballs to see your stuff. And so remember, impressions is my eyeballs may see it 5 times. And so that counts as one set of eyeballs, 2 sets of, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. And then moving on down to frequency is the number of times on average that each person in your targeting parameters will see your ad. And so basically on average, if you send out an ad or post and you have, say, only 1,000 people in your targeting zone that you're looking to get to see this, you've kind of got to have a medium to big budget so that everybody in that targeting zone can see that multiple times. You don't really want them to see it, say, 5 times, but you want it to be seen more than once to be able to, that you're, getting the most bang for your buck, basically. And so there's a fine line that you've got to dance on to make sure that your ads are being used properly and optimized. And so when we start doing, when I start going over actually making and creating an ad for you guys and showing you how to do that in just a little bit, we'll talk about that frequency number a little bit more in depth. But those are your kind of key vocab and thoughts, that you need to kind of think about moving forward when you start creating ads. And so Organic reach, we're going to talk about that just a little bit, is the number of people that see your content without any paid advertisement, booster, distributor, any of those things. And so it includes people that are shown your content just on your feed on a normal given day. Most of us as businesses put out content every day that we just really hope people see. 9 times out of 10, your engagement rate is smaller than you would like it to be. The reason is about 5% of your followers actually see that for the very first time. And so, you know, if people start engaging on it and looking at those things a little bit closer, then you've got like an extra 8% that starts to see it. And so I'm going to click on this video here, and I'm fixing to have to stop sharing this screen.
Organic reach for Facebook business pages.
1 second. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and scoot to this one. All right. I hope that y'all are able to see this video. You should be able to. And let's see. I'm going to share my audio. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Share sound. All right. I'm going to play like a snippet, and if y'all don't hear it, somebody stop me, okay?
Organic reach for Facebook business pages is plummeting. In fact, some people say by more than 50%. So how do you make sure that the content you share on Facebook is actually seen? There are thousands of factors that determine how the newsfeed ranks content. But overall, Facebook's goal has always been the same: connect people to the stories they want to be connected to. That means prioritizing posts from family, friends, and news organizations over content from brands. To claim your spot on the newsfeed among the 60 million other businesses marketing on Facebook, you have to understand 2 things. 1, how the newsfeed ranks content, and 2, where Facebook is heading as a business, not simply a social network. When Facebook ranks content, really it's looking at 4 things: who posted it, how people engaged with it, what kind of post it is, and when it was posted. The more engagement a post gets, the more it and your future posts are seen in the newsfeed. Remember, less is more. For brands, reach actually drops with each additional post, especially if you post more than 3 times a day. Be selective about what you post and how often. You've also got to avoid clickbait. Facebook tracks the amount of time people spend reading an article and watching a video and decreases its visibility if people immediately bounce from it or scroll past. Facebook is looking more and more like a video platform every day, and the algorithm reflects that. The newsfeed prioritizes Facebook Lives in real time and now notes how long people watched pre-produced videos, giving long videos with high completion rates an extra boost. But more than anything else, you've got to know your audience. The newsfeed is smart enough to know the type of posts people want to see. To increase those engagement rates, try using preferred audience tracking to optimize who sees your content. Jump up to settings and make sure audience optimization for posts is turned on. The next time you post, just click the tiny target and choose interests relevant to your content. If your organic reach is dropping, don't be surprised. Instead, know your audience and post quality content they want to engage with. Definitely consider promoting posts with ad spend, but know there are ways to make the algorithm work for you and your business.
All right, guys. And so what she was talking about is so significantly true. Unfortunately, you know, she's right. You know, it's plummeting for our business pages, organic reaches, and it's something that we as businesses have to trudge through to make sure that our organic posts are being seen. And so basically, Facebook got in trouble around 2018 because they were starting to get a little bit too quote unquote spammy. People were seeing too many ads that they didn't really care about seeing. And so Facebook changed up that algorithm so that they could get back to their original intent, which was connecting people and friends, family, to see what they want to see. You know, Facebook knows what you want to see, basically, better than we absolutely do. And it's funny because I use this I use this, thought a lot. And when I talk to people about, their organic traffic and their ads and things like that, and it's, for instance, person A, so myself, says to person B, did you see so-and-so posted this? And person B is like, no, I've never seen that, but I follow them too. Why didn't I see it? It's the same, it's that simple thought of, okay, Facebook ranks what I see differently than what they serve up to person B. And so because of that, we don't look at the same stuff. We don't interact with the same stuff on our newsfeed. And so Facebook serves us different content because of what she just talked about, how they rank it. And so when I was talking about a few minutes ago, saying that if you only had 1,000 followers and you post something, your organic reach is only going to be about that 5% of followers initially. And if they start to post or engage on it, which is liking, sharing, commenting, watching your videos, reading all of your articles, things like that, about 8% are going to see that, after that. And so Facebook changed up their algorithm entirely from back in 2018 because they had to, they had to get back to showing you what you wanted to see, or people were going to stop using it. And so a little bit here, we're going to talk about the things that Facebook ranks that for. And so, and why they do that. And so we're going to talk about that just a second. And so who posted it, how many people engaged with it, what kind of post it is, and when it was posted. And so all of these things can be measured and adjusted. And so who posted it, and normally that's, either your friend, your family, or a business, sponsored pages, things like that. How many people engaged with it? The more people engage, the better your post is going to do, the more organic traffic you're going to get if you don't want to pay for it. And then also what kind of post it is. And so you have to think about when you look through your news feed, when you're scrolling, what are the things that you really see and look at and engage with? Is it pictures? Is it videos? Is it just plain text? Is it links that take you to other pages? Things like that. You've got to look at that. You've got to think about that and say, I would rather see videos and pictures on my newsfeed. And so would these other people that you're wanting that engagement with. So think about what you're posting. And then also think about when you posted it. You can always look back and see what your data did, and we'll look at that in just a few minutes. But you can always look at that and say, okay, 12 o'clock noon didn't do so great, but Saturday at 1 did so much better. There's not really a rhyme or reason as to why time of day works better, because say on June 4th, it was better at 1, and June 31st, it was better at 2. There's not necessarily a rhyme or reason. You just gotta kind of look at that and say, on average, this time did better on this particular day. We're gonna our most important content, we're gonna look at that and put that on those days. And so what she was talking about in the video as well is less is more. And so the reason that is because if you're looking through your newsfeed at all, most of the time you only see 1 or 2 things from a particular person at a time. And if they post 6 times in a day, that reach rate, what we were talking about earlier of how many people is going to see it, goes down, because the more you have on the more you post, the less people see. And that's just one of those things of what Facebook does to rank content. They don't want people seeing the same person over and over and over again. They out of say 400 people, normally you see about 40 or a little less than that. They don't want them seeing those same 40 people over and over again in the same day. And so that's why they're ranking that content a little bit more. So we're going to dive in just a little bit further and know what the difference in organic reach is and paid reach. And so organic reach, like I was talking about, is that stuff that you just throw out there and you really hope something happens. Paid reach is the ones that you put a little money behind, that you're trying to monetize, that you're trying to get the best the best results out of in your engagement. So you're going to put a little money behind it and hope it happens. And so in this post, you can see that the light orange down here is the organic reach. The darker orange right here, and this over here, is the paid reach. And so you can tell that with the paid advertisement as it ran, you get way more engagement, way more impressions than just the organic reach. And the reason that is because with your paid stuff, you are able to target specific people, specific demographics, specific areas, things like that an organic reach really doesn't get to do. Organic, the followers that you have, you are just hoping that somebody somewhere will engage on it and help boost that engagement rate so that other people will see it. With paid reach, you're paying Facebook to put it out there. And so you're paying for a result and they give it to you for sure. So that's kind of the difference, but you can tell that, even on the very best day of an organic post without any paid advertisements, it didn't even do half as well as a paid post. And so again, you're really just hoping that 5% that sees it for the first time puts it out there and clicks on it and does what you need it to do. And if not, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So I'm not, saying yes, with every post you've got to pay a little extra for it. That's not what I'm saying at all. But the content that you really want engagement on, for instance, like we're boosting and paying for some rodeo ads right now. Shameless plug, I'm sorry. But we're paying for those, and we're seeing a huge increase in our engagement, our reach, and our impressions than we would any organic post we put out there. So we're going to just talk just a second what the difference in the paid posts are. There's two different kinds, and one is a little bit more detailed than the other. And so boosted posts are ones that you put on your timeline on just your normal feed that you can apply just a little bit of money to in order to boost it, to get a little bit more engagement on your audience and things like that. Facebook does the choosing of where it goes, who sees it, all of those things. You don't really have a whole lot of control with a boosted post. You do a little, but it's not nearly as much as you would probably like. Paid ads are those with very, very specific measurable points. So think back to those vocab words that we talked about earlier, and those are the ones that you will be utilizing specifically in your paid ads. The difference goes back to where your goal is and what you're trying to get at the very end of that ad. And so we've talked about this in several other workshops that I've done in the past. Is if you don't have a goal for your post, you're not making it worthwhile. You've got to have a goal in mind of what you're trying to accomplish. And so the difference lies in these two is you have specific targeting parameters that you can put of like specifically your demographics, your points of interest, people's interest in mind. You have placement selections. So if you want to put them on the newsfeed, if you want to put it in the stories, if you want to put it as a Instagram highlight, there's several different options that you have there. And then you've got the objective targeting parameters. So if you want to target specifically for your frequency, your impressions, or your reach, you can do that. And so, like I said, we're going to talk about those things just a little bit more in depth here in a few seconds. So choosing your campaign in your ad manager, this is the most important screen that you have when you first start to do an ad. And so like I was talking about earlier, my hope is that since you guys are watching today, you already have an ads manager account and a business page set up. If you don't, that's totally fine, and we'll get you going. Just call me and we can set a meeting time and we can get that going for you. That's not a problem. I don't mind at all. That's kind of what I'm here for. And so so this is the beginning page, the beginning screen of your ad center. And so you'll notice that when you start the ad, you can choose an objective. So when you're choosing an objective, think back to what your goal is that you're trying to accomplish. Are you wanting to create awareness for your page, or you want to just throw your name out there and get people to like your page? Are you wanting them to take action and consider your stuff? Are you wanting to send them to a landing page? Are you wanting to get more engagement? Are you wanting them to send you a message about your stuff? Or are you wanting them to buy something, take a conversion, out of that? And so that's what you've got to think about when you first get started, is what is my goal? What am I trying to accomplish? And so when you select this, after that, you've just got to trust the algorithm. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. Personally, I'm a control person, and I really like to know exactly where my stuff's going and who's seeing it and all of those things. And with Facebook, you just got to throw it out there and hope for the best. Facebook has thousands and thousands and thousands of data points that track us as individuals every day. It's weird, it's crazy, and a little bit scary, to be honest with you, because I can be talking about something randomly, like a purse or a new phone or whatever, and those Facebook ads are going to start popping up on my phone. That's because of those data points. And so you just got to kind of trust it and say, all right, they're going to work for my benefit, and make sure that my ad is put out there to the right people at the right time. And so again, this is just the most crucial screen you can have. You have to think of these 3 sets as a marketing funnel. If you've ever heard of that before, it is a wide funnel, and it gets smaller and smaller. And so up here at the very top is your brand awareness. And so those are the ones that are a little bit cheaper. You're just throwing your name out there, and you're hoping that somebody catches on and likes your page and things like that. And you get further down into the funnel, those cost you a little bit more money because they're more specific. They're a little bit more targeted, and that's what I'm talking about, is when it starts to V down into that funnel. Those are the things that you pay for a little bit more. So your traffic engagement, app installations, things like that. That is what those are the things that you start looking at that get your Facebook, in tune and whatnot. And so, excuse me, I had somebody else join us, and so I just wanted to get them muted. So this is your very first page that you see that's super, super important. All right, so we're going to talk just a little bit as well about our cost per clicks. So basically, when you start to choose those objectives that we just saw on that screen, you get to target and figure out how much I'm going to spend per action or per click. And so as you do that, you've got to think in your head, okay, what's my budget? Whatever that is, you've got to know, all right, I've got that budget. I don't want to spend more than 15 cents per click. And I'm going to run that ad for 2.5 weeks. And so that's kind of what you got to think about in your brain. And so as you move forward, you're able to figure this out just a little bit more. And finally, before we dive into our ads manager group, is our measure and adjustment. And so what you're seeing here on your screen is the Chambers ad account. And so obviously you can tell here that we've got 3 active accounts running at the moment. And so you can see how we're doing and how we're not doing, basically. And so you can see that our results for a particular ad, I think this one right here that I have my cursor on, is the movie night. And so we've had 576 engagements on that post, and we're only spending 15 cents per engagement. So in actuality, it works out pretty good. We've got a decent bang for our buck there, so we've got 576 people engaging on that for 15 cents. That's not half bad. So, the only other thing that I really want to dive into and show, or talk about before I kind of get any further on this is, or start showing you an ad, is all of these things can be adjusted. So if you're trying to run an ad for, say, 3 weeks, after week 1, you can tell if it's working or not. And so you can go in here and edit all of this and say, I don't think I am spending enough, or I think I'm spending too much. I don't know if I'm reaching enough people. All of those things, once you start calculating it in your head, you can say, I'm going to try something different. And so you can make those adjustments without creating a new ad if you'd like. So real quick, I'm going to swap over to Facebook and show you guys how that works basically, and how to get started in that. Real quick, here we go. All right, y'all should be seeing my Facebook screen as of now. Let's hope for that. All right, and so how you get to your ads manager is either you can go to your page right there where it says manage page. You come down here to Ad Center, then you come and you can go to preference, come all down to see all and ads manager. You can also in the search bar just type in ads manager and it should be the very first thing that comes up. And so this is your ads screen and it shows you what has been completed, your active ones, and then also your results. And so you got to constantly be thinking about those vocab words that we were talking about earlier and see, all right, for our movie nights, we've got just 5 or a couple of more days until that ends. So we've got that ending on the 24th of June. And so we have got about 35,000 impressions from that, which is huge. And so we've reached 14,000 people. We're only spending 16 cents per person. And so, you know, that engages. And so of those 14,000, 800 of those people have engaged with it, so that means clicking, sharing, liking, reading it, whatever the case may be, they did something on that ad. So we've reached 14,000 people. And so those 14,000 people have probably seen it at least more than once, because that gets this number. Because remember, impressions are the number of times people see that. So our ads are doing pretty good. And so I'm going to show you too in this, once you've created one, and I'll show you how to create one in just a few minutes, but right here where it says view performance, you can go in here and see exactly how it is doing. And you can even get into the nitty gritty of it down here to your demographics, and you can see, all right, this did way better with women ages 45 to 54 than it did with women 18 to 24. And you can see how much you've spent per result, how many people that actually is that is engaged with it. And then you can even get to, you know, how much you spent, what your reach was, you know, so you had, you know, out of those 14,000, 11,000 of those were women. And so this is great data that you get to look at to see, all right, I make an impression, I'm doing well, or I'm not. And so for us, for this particular ad, I say it's a win. We did a great job. I think we, you know, targeted the right people, all of those things, because it's working. You know, we're seeing in the data that it's working. You can even go into, you know, which platforms that you were able to utilize and which ones you're not. And so Facebook obviously is doing so much better than Instagram. Instagram and Facebook are now under one umbrella. They're two separate platforms. I'm just going to, you know, throw this out there while we're talking about that. They are two separate platforms, but Facebook bought out Instagram. And so now in your Facebook publishing tools, you're able to do both. You're able to utilize both of them for one money, you know, basically for the same money, you're able to utilize both platforms, which is fantastic. It makes my job easier. I know it'll make y'all's job easier. So real quick, we're going to kind of run through some ads that are needing to be created. And so right here, if you go into campaigns, you're able to create a new campaign. And so again, here we are. This is the most important window. What am I trying to accomplish? And so what I want to do is I want to create traffic to a website or a Facebook event or whatever the case may be. That's what I want. I'm going to do it for the rodeo. I'm going to create traffic. So you can come down here. It's an optional. You can create, you know, a name for it if you want to. You can create your data set, whatever the case may be. Click continue. And now you have created that campaign. And so I'm going to name it Traffic to Rodeo Website. And so keep going down, and we'll move you guys. Y'all are at the bottom. Sorry about that. Y'all, now you have to show how much money you're wanting to spend. So you try to figure out, all right, am I going to optimize my budget and, only use $5 a day? Or am I going to figure out I'm going to have however much $200 budget, and you can change it as if you want a daily budget of this is how much I want to spend every day, or a lifetime budget of say, 200, and then it uses that to figure out how often it can throw it out there. So the chamber in general never really spends a whole heck of a lot on ads, because you don't really have to. If you're targeting specific people, and you target and use this to your advantage, you don't necessarily have to spend those big huge amounts. Start with $50, see what happens, and grow on that. It's totally up to you and what your budget looks like for your marketing campaigns and things like that. I'm just showing you kind of what we do on average. Also, I'm gonna throw this out there too. Never think that this is a bad idea, that you're not doing it right, that this is terrible, because you don't know until you try it. You never know if you're going to get it right the first time. And so continue to work with it and play with it so that you have an idea of what works for your business and what doesn't, because what works for yours may not work for ours, and vice versa. So just, keep that in mind as well. So as I move down, so campaign budget optimization, we're going to spend $200 over the lifetime of this campaign. Then you get to choose how long you want to do it. So your ad scheduling, you go to edit on that. Ads run on a schedule, and then you can create what that schedule is. You come down here to next, and it walks you through specific things. All right. And so where do you want your traffic driven is super important. So that's just for me specifically, because that's what we're doing. And so we want it done to the app, a website, Messenger. And so we want it to a website. We want it to our chamber website on our rodeo event page. All right. And so then you get to pick your schedule. How long do you want the ad to run? I want it to run from the 1st of July at 8 o'clock that morning until the end of the rodeo. And so that shows you over here where you get your audience. It shows you that I've got 60 million people that could possibly see that ad. That's way too many. The reason that is because not that many people are going to actually see it. It's very, very broad. You've got to narrow that down a little bit more so that, you're getting, like I said, the bang for your buck. You're getting the most people that is actually going to, set that up and actually do it. You might get some of these notes right here. That's just telling you that maybe something's not quite right. You may want to look at that and see if you should make an adjustment or not. Sometimes they make a whole lot of sense and they keep you from spending money, wastefully, or you feel like you know what you're doing, you can click off of that and do something else. And so I'm going to come down here, and what this does is shows you how often you start to create that ad and what times of day. Also, if you go back, you can go back to this other page here and say run on a schedule. You don't have to do that. If you want to run it continuously throughout the lifetime of the day, you can do it as long as you want to. You can do that as well. And so I'm going to do the next button, chose that, how often, and then creating your audience. And so I'm going to talk just a little bit longer on this. This is super important because you're choosing who sees this ad. And so you can come down here to your locations, you edit this, you can type in whatever you want to and change it from people living in or recently located for there, people who live there recently in this area, traveling in this area. You can't pick more than one, but you just have to think, all right, if you're having an event, say the rodeo, I want people that live in this area, visited this area, have ties to this area, close by. That's my goal. And so that's what I'm doing. And so here I can search for specific places and put them in my targeting zone. So if you see here on the map, this is the target zone. And so I want Monroeville, I want Evergreen, I want, over in Clark County, I want Conecuh County, I want Butler County, I want our county, so you can get very specific and broad with that and kind of create you an area that works for what you're trying to sell and do. And so down in here, you can also adjust the ages that people see, that see this, what genders they are, and then get into a little bit more of their interests and targets and their behaviors and things like that. All of those things affects this right here, your audience potential reach. So right here in the green, if you go from green to green, you're good. But if you start getting over into this category of you're too broad, you're reaching too many people, and there are not enough people are going to be actually seeing it. You're not going to make too much of an impact. You get over here too specific, too few people are seeing it. So you want to really try to stay between the green. So then once you've chosen your audience, you can save that, choose it, name it something else, name it something specific, and then you get to choose your placement. And so as this is, you can choose your automatic placement, which is, you put it on multiple places. So, Instagram, Facebook, stories, things like that. And then you can also do manual, which is you selecting which ones you want. And then as always, your click links and, things like that and what you're trying to do specifically. And so that is the basis of creating an ad. If you guys need any other explanations or a little bit more in depth with that, please let me know and we can do that. I believe I'm running close to out of time with you guys today, but that's the general gist. The only other thing that I was going to show you guys is on your just general Facebook page. I hope that you're still able to see that. Yes, you are. You come down here to where it says publishing tools, and on that you can schedule post for later. And so what this does is helps you with your traffic and engagement and sees how your organic posts are doing. And so in that, so this screen shows you what we are putting out there organically. The other was what we were putting out for with our paid ads. This is organic. And so right here, you can see on this particular post we had about the job fair earlier this morning, we have had 2 people and 37 people reached through that. And so somebody, those people have seen it randomly. We've had 28 engagements, 8 reactions. And so those are, the things that people did to click on that and look through it and things like that. And so you're also able to measure your organic posts as well as your ads. It's just in a different way. And so you just got to figure out what the difference is and see, if that's a possibility or not. So I'm going to open up the floor for questions. If anybody has any, you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask. I will try to answer those the best I can if you have any. If not, like I said, I'm going to put this on our YouTube channel here in just a little while, and then also our website and most likely on our social media pages. So like I said, if you've got any questions, you go ahead and unmute yourself and we can go from there.
I have a question, but it
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
kind of ties in, but doesn't tie in. You mentioned Instagram, and I have an Instagram page, but because I used Facebook Manager, it kind of locked me out of my Instagram page instead of keeping them merged. And
Yes.
I don't know how to get back to it to bring them back together.
Sure. So what I'll do, y'all are still able to see my screen here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you how to get back to that real quick. And so if you come back down here, so you're on your page, whatever that is, and you come back down here to settings. All right. And then you've got on this side, you've got Instagram. And so it's going to take you to this page where you connect. And so most of the time, if it has not synced up the way it's supposed to, you come down here to disconnect and just redo it. So basically you just disconnect it and then go back in, put that information back in there, your login stuff, and it'll sync it back up 9 times out of 10. If it doesn't, we'll work it out if you need help with that. But that's going to be your best bet.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Any other questions from anybody?
Hey, Logan.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yes.
Earlier, it was mentioned that you can set the schedule of when you want your ads to run.
Correct.
Is there information? Does Facebook provide information so you can target your potential customer? For instance, let's say I wanted to advertise to people that during the day they're at work, so they're not going to be on Facebook,
Mhm.
or they have certain, or let's say it's a middle-aged person who has an elderly parent and they
Mhm.
got to start worrying about putting them into a nursing home,
Mhm.
and I need to target them.
Mhm.
Do they have, is there a way to try to get that information on what time those types of people are looking at Facebook? Or is that
Yes.
something, or would that be better suited for not a manual, for me manually doing it? Or would that just be something I just turn over to Facebook and let them figure it out? How does
Yeah,
that work?
so what you can do, and it depends on which objective you choose. Like we're
Mhm.
talking, or like you're seeing right here, if you can do traffic, you can do it that way so that they
Mhm.
speak, specifically, you can go back to like a website or whatever it is that you want them to do, or send you a message. You can click messages, that kind of thing. I'm not going to change my
Okay.
objective right here, but if you come down here to where it says ad scheduling and you do run ads on a schedule, then you click the next button. Down here, it shows you which times of day you believe is going to work. And so if you want to do 6 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you want to come all the way to 9, you can totally do that. And all you're going to have to do is just watch that ad and see, all right, is those times really working, or do I need to adjust it to something else? And so what you're talking about, you're just going to have to manage and look at a lot.
But it can be
just to be sure
adjusted
that
on the
you're-
fly.
Do what now?
You can adjust it on the fly.
Absolutely. Any time of
Okay.
day, whenever.
Okay.
And it automatically edits it and fixes it and puts it back out there however you've changed it.
Okay,
So
thank
there's no wait time pretty much. So if you change it at 10 o'clock, at 10:15, it's going to be different already. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I hope that helps answer your question. All right. Anybody else have anything before we hop off? All right, guys. So I appreciate so much that y'all hopping on with me, and I hope I answered some of your questions. If you have any others, if you want to shoot me an email, that is completely fine. My email address is right here, officemanager@monroecountyal.com, and you can call the office or also myself. I'm open to all questions. Any point, I don't mind at all. That's kind of what I'm here for again. So thank y'all again, and I hope y'all have a wonderful afternoon and day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Have a nice